My name is Monique Grasso with SLCT. Here's what's happening in Sterling and Lancaster. The Friends of the Thayer Memorial Library will be holding their annual children's book sale on June 22nd. This event will take place at the Thayer Memorial Library from 3 to 7 p.m. For more information, call 978-368-8928. The Lancaster Board of Selectmen have instated a no dog policy in town buildings. This means that dogs are no longer allowed inside town-owned buildings, such as the town hall or the community center. Learn to play pickleball at the Lancaster Community Center. Pickleball is a sport that combines tennis, badminton, and ping pong, and is a low-impact sport for any age. For information on when lessons are taking place, call the center at 978-368-4355.
I'm Lex Thomas, editor of Sterling Meeting House News, and I am very pleased to be here today with Sterling Town Administrator Ross Perry. Welcome, Ross, and thank you for speaking with me. Thank you for making the time for me. But also, there are some very interesting things happening, and a particularly wonderful initiative that is coming into Sterling right now called the Commonwealth Community Compact, and I want to hear all about that.
This is a program that Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito started when they were first elected a couple of years ago. And the intent is to help the state help the towns and to provide the towns with some of the resources they need but can't get on their own to accomplish things, and to work as a partner with the towns in accomplishing their goals. So they've set up a practice where you basically can sign up for the Community Compact, and you can pick 3 out of about 15 best practices that you want to work on. I talked to the selectmen agreed that we should apply, so we filed for financial planning to help us with long-term planning for our financial goals, and with economic development that will include helping us with a master plan. And the third one was handicap access, helping us improve some of the town for access, which will be directly applicable to the plans for the 1835 building and their need for a handicap elevator over there. So we were accepted and notified this week that we're going to be into the program. Lieutenant Governor is coming out Thursday, the 14th, for a formal signing.
And now, when you talk about the master plan, that's going to prick a lot of people's ears right up, because that has been something that has been batted around the annual town meeting and various meetings for years. How do you see that unfolding now?
Well, Sterling's master plan is 55 years old, and I think everybody would agree that things have probably changed in that time frame. It's time to be updated. It's time to start planning for the next 10 to 20 years, figure out where do we want Sterling to be, and a master plan is a good way to start that. A master plan is also a lot of work, and joining the Community Compact and obtaining a $25,000 grant will help us get started in that process.
Now, when you're talking about a 55-year-old existing master plan, is there really anything from that can be extrapolated and can be used at this point, or are you really starting again from, tabula rasa?
I think we will definitely look at what was done. I mean, there was value into plans back then. They're meant to be long range, but clearly we need to start and look at the whole picture and see where we need to go.
Now, do you have a sense and here again, I do stress that once again, you've done an amazing amount of work in the very short time that you've been here. It seems like already an eternity, and I'm sure it must to you as well, but it really has just been a few short months. Do you have a sense of what the kinds of things are that have changed from that original master plan, and where focus really has to go now?
I think those are good questions, but that's sort of what the master plan should do, is figure out what's the appropriate plan for Sterling. Where do we want to be? Where do we want to develop? Where do we don't want to not develop? When you have a concept of what should be developed or not developed, then you can update your zoning bylaws and your regulations to match that plan. Sterling has a collection of sort of disjointed zoning bylaws, and it would be really good to get them all in concurrence with one another and to reflect how we want to get to someplace in the future.
How long would you anticipate that coming up with a master plan would take?
I would expect it's probably a 2-year process, depending upon how much energy can be put into it. It needs to be something that the town leaders and the town residents want. It's not something that one person thinks is a good idea. It has to be something that the town wants to get behind and work on. I think there'll be a need for volunteers on a master plan committee. There'll be a need for support from some of the key boards. And this will bring out the right goals and objectives that can be put into a master plan.
And I'm sure that there will be public meetings that are involved with
Yes.
that as well to get citizen. Now, I think one of the other aspects that you identified here was economic development. What does that entail for our town?
Well, that will be a byproduct of the master plan. Where should we develop? Where should we not develop? Do we want to focus on Main Street and Route 12, and do we want to protect other areas? We need the big picture to start with an economic development. And so I see the master plan driving new zoning and new regulations. This ends up helping promote businesses where we want to, which helps with the economic development. So it's all sort of connected, but this is a start to get the process going.
Now, the other thing that you talked about was the ADA as being one of the American
Yep.
Disabilities Act, and I know that that is something that is of extreme concern with the 1835 building. How do you see that one unfolding?
Well, the community compact accepts the ADA as part of one of the best practices, and in order to file for a grant that might cover some of the ADA improvements in the 1835, you have to have completed a self-evaluation and implementation plan. Well, it turns out Sterling actually has one that's in progress, so we've got to start on that. But being part of the community compact may give us some resources to help finish that and get that ready. Once that's ready, then we get sort of bonus points towards applying for a grant that might fund some or all of the ADA improvements for the 1835 building, as well as elsewhere in town.
Now, with the Commonwealth Community Compact, one of the things here that in the documentation that I've seen is that there are commitments on the Commonwealth's part, there are commitments on the community part. How do you see that interacting on a day-to-day basis? It seems to me that, between state and community, there's going to be a lot of interaction.
Yes. The state has said that they will help us with these goals. Maybe they'll provide technical assistance. Maybe they'll provide financial assistance. I think most of it will be technical assistance. The financial planning, we'll probably have someone from the Department of Revenue or Department of Local Services who can help us determine the right goals and objectives from a financial perspective. So I think we'll be working with different agencies and different cabinet members in implementing this.
Sure. Do you have any sense of how many communities are at this point part of the compact, or is this something that's just getting?
No, it's been going, it's roughly 255 communities that are in the compact. I had seen this in my previous positions as in planning. A lot of towns have been using this. When I came to Sterling and realized that Sterling hadn't taken this opportunity, I thought this would be a good time to help us leverage some of the things we want to do. I mean, there's a list of things that we can spend money on. There's a lot of things that require time and support. Here's a way to get started on this. This will provide us with some money, and it will provide us with some support.
Now, this must also put us in contact with other communities and looking at best practices elsewhere, and does that kind of provide a way for the communities as well to interact? Because sometimes it seems to me that things are very, very, almost individualized here, almost, it can seem not really segregated, but it can seem very isolated, that each community kind of sees itself as its own little box.
Well, there's 351 unique communities in Massachusetts. What I've realized is actually Sterling is more similar to other communities than everybody realizes.
Sure.
But yes, these things have been dealt with in other communities. Part of the process will be to learn from what they've done and adapt it to what makes sense for Sterling. So a regional perspective will be a part of this, looking at more than just Sterling and what makes sense overall.
Now, it seems that I'd like to know what your role in all of this is, because you've talked about all these different committees and the different, boards that are going to be involved in this, but obviously this kind of needs, in any town, it needs sort of a spearhead. It needs somebody that's going to coordinate all of this. Is this your role here?
Yes, coordinator, facilitator, implementer. I'm going to try to get these going and providing the support and the tools and hopefully the money to make it happen. I'm not writing the master plan. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to write the master plan.
Sure.
This needs to come from the community, come from volunteer master plan committee, come with the support of the planning board, and I'm just going to help to try to get these pieces moving.
And what do you see ultimately as being the benefit of this when we look now, say we're 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now? What is going to be different? How is this going to have benefited Sterling?
The short answer is Sterling will be a community that works. It has an infrastructure that attracts the businesses that we want to attract, that helps with the tax base, that helps with funding other things we want to do. I mean, you can't spend money endlessly on repairing the 1835 building unless there's a way to support that. Getting some grants will help. Getting a bigger tax base through some businesses will help. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do in town, but we need to find ways to make it happen, and this is a piece of it.
Sounds like we're in for a very busy and exciting time. Certainly look forward to the meeting with the Lieutenant Governor, and thank you so much for giving us your insights, and good luck with all
Thank you for
this.
coming out today.
Thank you, Ross.
The 8th Annual Massachusetts Walking Tour will begin June 27th at the Walden Pond Visitors Center and end July 1st at the Wachusett Mountains Visitors Center. To learn more about the walk and to register, visit www.masswalkingtour.org. The 6th Annual Jake Bracton Memorial Car Show will take place on June 24th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This free event will take place at the Mount View Middle School in Holden and has a rain date of July 8th. For more information, call 617-645-9712. The Friends of the Sterling Seniors will have their monthly pancake breakfast on June 30th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. This event will take place at the Sterling Senior Center, and all proceeds will benefit the Senior Center. I'm Monique Grassa, and that's what's happening.